Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Erin and I do mostly budgeting videos like the one you're about to see here. For stopping by and tuning in. If you are somebody who likes budget videos that include real numbers, this might be of interest to you. This is my happy planner, and this is a combined planning system, and I have a video on that I just uploaded a few days ago on why I am combining several happy planners into one and what my initial plans are as far as my planning systems go for 2022. That's a lot to say. So I have a lot of different things going on, but I do still feel pretty organized. And so I thought today we would do a trial and error of a weekly budget in this planner as I designed it to be one of its purposes. And I'm missing a couple nails. Those of you, a couple of you have commented on my nails. These are just press-ons. I mean, they are like from Walmart and they do last through everything, getting them wet. I mean, they are pretty durable, but once in a while one pops off. In fact, let me show you, full disclosure. This is the kit that I've been using lately. It's a short length and I don't know what, does it have a name? Evanesce. That's what it's called. But anyways, they just don't require glue or anything. They're pretty good for the money. I'm going to be doing a favorites video because I have some things that I want to share with you guys and things that might be, again, of interest to you as we move along. I've never really done favorites videos on my channel, but you know what? It's a new year. Let me raise this up just a bit. It's a new year, and why not? Why not try some new subjects and just work them into what I'm already doing. So here we go. Now, the funny thing about this, funny for me, but not so funny because it does trigger some OCD, is this layout is my very first one going into the new year. Of course, these paychecks are still for December. So my last paycheck of the year is December 31st, and my husband's last paycheck of the year is the 30th. So today is the 30th when I'm filming this. But what's nice about our bank is that we get early deposit where we go. So if you have direct deposit that hits, on a regular basis, our bank puts the money in 1 to 2 days early. So that's super nice to have the money on hand before you normally would. And I'm pretty happy with our local bank and what we're doing so far. That took me some trial and error too. I switched banks last year, or maybe it was the year before, I can't remember. Everything's bleeding into each other. But anyway, so let's get back to the layout. If you've been with me for a while, you know that most of my budget layouts I have always done in a Happy Planner. So I'm back to the big Happy Planner system, and I'm going to try this out. But you see there is lots of whiteout, trying to get rid of and blur some of these lines just so the layout works a little bit better. And up here, I tried this pen. I didn't like how my writing was turning out. It just was too bold of a tipped pen. So I switched back to my Muji, and this is a 0.38 tip pen, and I love this. This is my go-to for almost everything now. It makes nice fine lines, and I mentioned this in my bullet journaling video. I've been using this Happy Planner kind of cover to make straight lines, and what I love about it is as I use it, I can still see what's underneath, and instead of using, kind of a bulky ruler where I'm trying to figure out, whatever. I mean, they both work, but I really like this. And it's normally trash. So save these if you're somebody who likes to draw lines, because they're very handy. So lots of information going on. So my husband's last base pay, like I said, is the 30th, and my last paycheck is the 31st. So I'm filming this on Thursday the 30th. Tomorrow's my paycheck, but everything already hit our bank, so we're good to go. So I'm going to put the amounts here. I'm going to bring the total down here. Then I'm on to the February bills, our January bills have already been paid during the month of December. So I am moving on to February, even though this is technically still December money. I can put some toward that and get a little bit ahead, even more ahead, but I could also just pocket this money and add it to my sinking fund. So I do have some options because for me, this is a third pay. Now, when you're paying your bills a month in advance, when you get that third pay, if you're somebody who gets paid bi-weekly, you really feel this as extra money. If you're somebody who is working week to week or bi-weekly with your bills and things that you owe, which is how I used to do it, you don't really feel it as much because you're just kind of business as usual every other week. You're paying the same amount. So it just depends on what your system is, if this actually comes out to like a bonus pay or not. So I have my total here, and then February bills, the grand total due, I'm going to add here. Variable expenses, this is going to be for 1 week. Sometimes I plan out for 2 weeks because I used to rely very heavily on my paycheck as regular income when my husband lost his job. Even though he always had money coming in, it just was easier for me to do that and then use his money for whatever. But I like to plan out the variables from my check. But, you know, I can kind of do this a little bit more loosely now and go week to week. Down here, sinking fund, and you'll see there's no S on the end of that. I have a catch-all, I don't want to call it miscellaneous because I don't like to term any money really miscellaneous. Even pocket money or spending money, I like to call it spending money, not just miscellaneous, because I feel that miscellaneous is too much of a universal or general word, and it doesn't really give a job to the money. So it's just mental for me. It's just, you know, like I said, psychological. I just don't like to call it that. So I'm just calling it sinking fund. And right now we don't have a lot of different funds allocated for different purposes. We used to have one for our dogs. We used to have an emergency fund. We used to have, I think, a home improvement fund. I had them for different categories for different things. And the more I did that, it just got a little bit cumbersome. And at some point, I was actually borrowing like from the dog fund. You know, I wanted to add that to maybe the emergency fund because I want to see that grow faster. And it was just, I don't know. So I'm just going to try this for now. One main sinking fund. So this is where I can add my amount, and this is where I can put my grand total as we move along throughout the year. So right now, this would pretty much be the same. So finally, at the end of this layout is what I call a receipt. And I like just to use that, like think about it as, you know, just a receipt that would pop out to give you the general information of what all this represents. So money in, money out, and anything that's remaining or rollover to the next week, to the next payday, whatever that may be. So this is what my very messy, very like crudely drawn layout will be. I'm going to try and make this a little bit neater and cleaner as we move along. But this is, like I said, getting into a new year, getting back into this budgeting system, and I wanted it to represent everything that I wanted to capture, you know, or all the information that I am capturing. I wanted to represent everything nicely. But like I said, I was just kind of doing this, you know, like brain to paper, you know, as I went along. So that's why it doesn't look very pretty. So I'm going to put down some amounts now. This is probably what you've been waiting for. So his base pay is $639.76. That comes in twice a month. So if you are new here, and for those of you who aren't new and you've heard this spiel a million times, my husband had lost his job a couple years ago and he ended up taking an early retirement. We're really hoping that retirement comes in by January 2nd. That's the anticipated date. And there is supposed to be some back pay. So it's a reduced payment for life because he had to turn 50 years old to be able to take that option instead of moving away to a different location for his work. So he took the early retirement. That it does not include Social Security. He's not that old. He'll collect Social Security as well when he becomes of age, like all of us. And in the meantime, he does have another job that is sales-based. So they give you a very small base pay, so just commission-based, sales-based, yes. So they give you a very small base pay. It's just kind of, you know, for showing up. Now, it's not called a draw. It's actually called a base, because should you not sell enough to cover this amount, which is rare, but it could happen, they don't make you pay this back. You don't owe them anything back. But when you do get your grand commission check, and that comes in once a month around the 7th or 8th of the month, they do subtract your base pays from that before they pay you. So you get almost straight commission minus these amounts. Now, if your commission check doesn't equal a month's worth of this pay, like I said, you don't owe them anything, but they will take it out. So this is truly a base pay and not a draw. A draw would be if they actually took this back. Like if you know, 639 times 2 would be 1280. If you didn't sell enough commission to meet $1,280, let's say you sold $1,000, you would owe them $280 back if it was a true draw pay. So it's a lot of learning curve for me too, because neither one of us has ever been in sales before, but it's a nice subsidy, and he has made I think a very respectable and good, sometimes great amount over the past year since he's been doing this. So let's see, we have $1,535 for me. And if you are wondering what my job is, and this is bi-weekly, I do work for the state where I live, and I guess that's probably all I'm gonna say. But yeah, so I work for the state. And then let's go ahead and total up both of these. So $639.76 plus $1,535.14 is gonna give us a grand total this week of $21.74.90. So let's write that down. $21.74.90. Now we do have other pays coming in. So I will get paid in January. Now that we're still in December, but I'm sort of working this like it's going toward January and February. But this is still really nice because, like I said, I really could use this to pay off Christmas and whatever else. I do need to make a payment on our Discover card because I don't like to carry a balance. We overspent for Christmas by quite a bit. You know, and it is what it is. I mean, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. We just bought a lot this year, and I feel like I'm okay with that. I don't know, for some reason I just feel okay with that. So let's write down our total bills that we're gonna have due for February. So $27.34. And that's rounded, you know, I mean, of course there's like some change and everything in there. But yeah, that's what we're gonna owe for February. Now that's not all coming out of these last December paychecks. That's gonna come out over the course of January. And it's all gonna be about how I allocate it every single payday. So our anticipated amounts for our variables. Now variables include gas, it includes food, which I'm going to put groceries because that's pretty much what that is, as opposed to dining out. So I like to put that on its own line just to track it. I think that's better. And then I could put this together, but I've always done it separately. Our dog food and, you know, any treats that I want to buy for them. And then variables, I'm going to write down Christmas payoff. We just have a little bit more of a payment to make, so I'll just write down Christmas. And then what else? We paid our roof. That was $2,500. It was our deductible, but we did get a brand new roof, and that will be a nice selling feature when we do go to sell our house. And I think that's pretty much, I'm gonna write down spending. I think that's pretty much all we have for this payday or this week. So for gas, I'm going to put down $80. And that's combined. That's from both my husband and myself. And for groceries, for this week, I'm going to put down, I think, $140, because we do need some basic stuff, some staples and all that. For dining out, I'm going to put down, because he's been working so much and I have to go back to work next week. So I'm going to actually put down $75, because I think we'll probably end up going out to dinner a couple times. And if I don't spend all that, perfect. And then dog food, I'm going to put down 30. Everything has increased. I used to put down 25, I believe. But oh my gosh, everything is getting more expensive. Everything. Nothing is spared. And for Christmas, I have to figure out what that total is, and I'll plug that in later. And then spending, I'm going to put down, I think I'm going to put down, I don't know. I think I'm going to put down 150. And there, you know, it's funny. It's not funny. Well, it's good for consumers, customers. At our local Michael's, I was in there at the beginning of this week, and I overheard the girl, well, she was talking just to everybody in the vicinity where she was at. It was like the Christmas stuff that they had marked down to 70%. And she said they were getting another truck in this week, and it was going to all be immediately clearanced out at that 70%. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she was explaining to a lady standing there that the reason why was because all of that merchandise was sitting on a truck, like at the port, you know, just like you see those big ships with all, you know, the stuff on it, all the goods. And it didn't come in on time for Christmas. So they're a loss, but everybody else is gain. So I was going to stop there and see if I could pick up a couple of things. I don't need anything, but an immediate discount of 70% for the good stuff, not just like the remnants and what's left over. You know, that's kind of nice. So I'm going to hold off on totaling this up. I think I will total that up in a future video because I want to put Christmas in there, but here's where our amounts are falling as far as our variables. And then my sinking fund, after I do this, I'm going to do a separate video to explain my sinking fund, kind of what my plans are for that, because I do have some things specifically in mind for this money. And it's not just going to be, you know, a never-ending savings. I want that to happen, you know, and we do have savings in the bank, but this fund is going to be for certain purposes as well. So I want to have goals. I want to be able to meet them and then, you know, start over, roll over, whatever it's going to be, roll over any extra money. So I'm going to hold off on my final receipt until I have that Christmas figure in here. And I make sure that we completely take care of that before January 1, because that just feels right to me. I feel blessed to be able to do that, but I want to do that. But I wanted to give you guys an overview or a snapshot of what our income looks like for these last pays of December, and then kind of what our plans are, loose plans at this point for our variables and where we're going with, where we will be going with February's bills, sinking funds, and then what our final receipt looks like for this pay. So that is it. Like I said, this was going to be a little bit of a learning curve, a little bit of a trial and error until I get this perfected, this system. I used to have it, you know, where I was like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the steps ready to go. I followed the same formula every time. But since I haven't done this in so long and I've used different systems in the meantime, it's just going to take me a minute to get this down pat again. So please subscribe if you haven't already done so and you enjoy these types of videos. And hopefully I will see you guys in my next video. Take care.